Hello and welcome to Meet Our Makers, an artist interview podcast produced in association with Beats Per Minute. I'm your host, Jeremy J. Facette. On this episode, we get to meet singer, songwriter, noisemaker, producer, Sasami. Sasami is the mononym of the LA-based Sasami Ashworth, who put out a debut record a few years ago to pretty good acclaim, and is now back with her sophomore record, Squeeze. In this chat, Sasami and I discuss a lot about her new record, including the wide range of influences that you can find there. Squeeze is a wild ride. Everything from nu metal to noise to glitch to indie folk. From System of a Down to Sheryl Crow, it's all there. And in this chat, we talk a lot about the inspiration, influences, and what led her down this particular path this time around. She said last time she was crying, this time she's screaming. We talk a bit about the annoying misogyny that she suffered in the industry, as well as culture, work, and inspiration from the art around her, how she never stops taking it in. It was a really lovely chat, and I hope you enjoy it. So thank you for listening. And this is me meeting Sasami.
There we go. Sorry.
There we are.
Hi. Hi, Jeremy.
Hello.
What's up?
Oh, just this. How are you?
Good. Where are you based right now?
I'm in Connecticut.
Okay, cool. So is it snowing there?
It
is
snowed
freezing?
the other day. Yeah, I mean, actually, it's 43 degrees according to my phone right now, which is cold, but like I feel like it would normally be colder. I'm not sure. And apparently it's going to be in the 60s next week.
You're having a little heat wave moment.
Yeah, and I heard like Texas is going to be in the 80s or something next week. So
Whoa.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
I mean,
Where are
honestly,
you based out
LA. I'm in LA right now. LA being in the 80s or 90s in December is not news at all. But it actually is like kind of cold and rainy and cute right now. So
what is it, like 70?
Let's see. Right now it is 60 degrees.
Oh, that actually is kind of cool for Southern California.
Yeah, it's been getting into the 40s at night. So
oh wow. Well, okay.
Something.
Yeah, it is snowy here. It snowed like 1 inch so far this season, and it happened to have been a couple days ago. So it's there's snow on the ground. It's nice.
Yeah, there's some snow. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I like snow. I'm not one of the people, I don't know how familiar you are with Connecticut, but pretty much half the people here hate the weather, but then they stay here. So yeah. I'm not one of those people who stays here and complains about the snow all winter in a New England state. I mean, it's just part of it. So I like the snow. So I would like some more.
Yeah, I feel like New England is the worst when it's gray and not snowing. Like the snow
right,
is
yeah.
the payoff.
Like if you have like a 41 degree overcast winter day, no one wants that.
Yeah,
it's not worth the grayness.
My band is based out of Brattleboro, Vermont, and I feel like from what they say, the most depressing part of winter is like after like months of like when it's just gray and not snowing anymore.
Like March.
That's the tough part. Yes.
March sucks.
Yeah. That's cruel.
Anyway, so thank you for coming in. Thank you for hanging out for a bit today.
Yeah, no worries.
So we're here mostly because you have a new record coming out, your sophomore album, February 25th on Domino, called Squeeze. I'm curious, just off the top, your debut came out a couple years ago. It was pretty well received. You've toured with a lot of really good people. What was generally just like the path like to creating the second one? Was there any feeling of pressure that wasn't there last time? Like, what was the road to this new record?
Yeah, I mean, the first album that I made was, I wasn't on a label. I was still playing in a different band. I was just kind of using that as a project to just work on some studio production ideas. And the songs were just coming from an extremely like stream of conscious place. Like there was no intention of even making an album. That one's just like kind of a coincidental stream of songs that wrote and recorded all within a year, whereas this album is much more of like an intentional kind of theatrical production, and every song kind of feels like a different act to the play that's the whole album. And my focus on making this album was much more on creating pieces that people could have some sort of emotional reaction to, and it was much more about conjuring the visual and musical and lyrical elements that create an environment for an emotional reaction way more than like my own personal experience.
Is that part of why there is kind of this like almost two sides to this record, the sort of really, really noisy tracks and the softer tracks in between? Are you kind of intentionally guiding the listener through something?
Yeah, and I definitely wanted the album to feel more like a maze with like twists and turns, as opposed to like a meditative long highway. Like my last album to me feels a lot more like you're just like on a highway and you're like kind of watching things go by as you're like traveling. Whereas this one to me is much more like a roller coaster.
Yeah, I'm picturing that scene from Pee-wee's Big Adventure where they're driving on the cliffside and you see that sign that's like a loop-de-loop, and like that's what's coming, this like crazy unpredictable twist and turn route.
Exactly. And like I think that I feel like especially in an era where people's attention spans and like the reality of people listening to a full LP all the way through is just kind of dwindling as people get more involved with playlists and aren't really using vinyl as much. I feel like also I wanted to create like an album that is really like working, like it's working to like hold on to the listener for the whole length of the album. Like I want there to be like some payoff that makes it worth listening to the whole thing, you know?
And it's pretty short too. The record's about a half hour long. So it's not even like you're asking for like, I don't need 3 hours of your time.
Exactly.
Just this little bit. Come with me for this little bit.
Exactly. And I really wanted to, I don't know, I'm Korean. I'm like a workaholic. I'm like, let me work for you. Like, let me keep your attention. I'd gladly hold it if you give it to me.
So as I said, many of the songs on this record are quite noisy, abrasive, like Skin a Rat, which is out now. Also things like Say It. But then you do have the more placid, sort of lush songs, like Call Me Home and a couple others. Even the album art is sort of abrasive. You know, it's like really in your face. So I guess you were trying to keep us on our toes. What led you to this sort of sonic adventurousness that maybe you wouldn't have done a couple years ago? Like, how did you get here?
I think that like part of it is just a level of like confidence and command of the instrument as I get more and more familiar with electric guitar and, you know, drum arrangements and like recording techniques. Like I feel like I just I have an idea, and whatever it is, I like want to go all the way out with it. I don't really want to like be meager at all. And so like I don't want to be like meek at all. So like when I decided that I want to incorporate some metal sonic elements to the album, I was like, okay, I'm gonna like hire the drummer from Megadeth and like I'm gonna put like slap bass on it. And to me it's just kind of like life is short, and if you have an idea, even if it's like a risk, like it might not just be like the safest route. I just wanted to go really, really heavy in every direction, you know? And then like Not a Love Song at the end, I was like, I want there to be like an interlude that's like Bach. Like, you know, I might lose some of the metalheads, but it's fine. Like I want to just like go in every direction as far as possible. So I think especially with the heaviness, just from touring the first album so much and kind of like being over all the mellowness, like, you know, you play the album for years, and by the time you're like on year 3 of playing songs that are like sad and you're not sad anymore, you just start like turning your gain up on all your pedals. And that's kind of where I was at, where I was like playing songs that were really mellow and like screaming into the microphone, and people were like, what the fuck is happening? And I was like, oh, maybe I should actually just make songs that have the emotional arrangement of like where I'm at right now. So yeah, I knew by the end of touring my last album that it was like time to make heavier songs.
So you say heavier, and I'm sure you mostly mean texturally, because I know you've mentioned your debut is, a bunch of sad songs. I think I heard an interview with you once where you just said there were a bunch of songs because I wrote when I was sad.
Yeah.
But for this one, is it also heavy emotionally, or is it kind of more different sides than just like the one sad side?
I think that, there are definitely some contrasting feelings between like the lyrics and the sonics of some of the songs on this album. Like even like Need It to Work is like basically a song about like being a fucking sad loser and like waiting for someone that like doesn't want to communicate. But then there's like, and there's like a super loud like guitar solo and like, I don't know. I just think that the last album was like being sad and crying about it. And then this album is more like about being sad or hurt and like raging about it.
So you're screaming about it instead of crying about it.
Yeah, exactly. And I also think that like, I think, when I made my last album, I didn't expect anyone to listen to it or have any sort of reaction or response to it. I was just kind of making it for myself. But like in learning that people did have a reaction to it, I wanted to like really anticipate like what kind of reaction I could facilitate by making these songs. And I like very intentionally wanted to make music that that is a catalyst for people having like a cathartic kind of rage-filled experience. And I feel like there are a lot of like marginalized people who would connect to the sonics of metal, but like the lyrical elements are like not aligned with the experience of most marginalized people. And also just like the culture around metal can be kind of like intimidating to most to like non-cis male, non-white folks. I think there's like a level of intimidation to that like cultural space. But I think that sonically actually like pretty much anyone feels pretty awesome when they hear double kick pedal. Like anyone, it just fucking is like the most amazing feeling to be like at a live show and someone's playing double kick pedal. So
well, there's an exhilaration to it.
Yeah. And also just like a feeling of like, I call it Bowser energy. Like, just like this kind of boss doom heavy
fire
stomping
breathing
on the ground energy. Totally. And I wanted to like put that sonic landscape to my experience and the experience of people that like look like me or like are in a lot of the same spaces that I'm in.
So did that cranking up the volume and cranking up the pedals, did that sort of organically grow out of playing the first record over and over again and kind of doing the same songs, but you as an artist were evolving?
Yeah, absolutely. And like just craving loudness. I feel like even in an industry that claims to be super evolved and like very very non-misogynistic or whatever, I feel like it's just a fucking like tale as old as time. Like you show up to a venue as like a femme person and the sound person is constantly telling you to turn down your amp, and you're like, you're there to play a show that people are paying to watch you play, and yet some man is still like telling you to turn down. It's just fucking infuriating. And like that kind of resistance made me just like push harder and harder into a realm of wanting to be loud as fuck.
That makes sense.
It's like really, that was a really wild experience to just like be at my own show with my name like on the marquee and like some dude I've never met like telling me to be quiet. I'm like, fuck off. No.
Yeah. And now so, when you tour this record, it's going to be like, are we going to have this conversation?
Yeah. It's, I definitely think that it's going to be like a lifelong, oops, hold on one second. Hi, sorry.
No, that's
basically fine. My grandma owns this kimchi shop, and then she moved back to Korea. She scammed my mom into running it for her, and then my mom scammed me into watching the shop for her this afternoon. So if I have to leave again,
is that where you are right now?
Yeah, I'm at my grandma's kimchi shop.
That's kind of neat, though.
Very, very immigrant, like multi-generation business owner energy over here. So
Hey, main character energy. That's all right.
exactly. Anyway, so yeah,
so
I
did
think
you
that
then
it's going to
feel
be
a
a
pressure?
theme. Sorry, say that again.
Oh, sorry, you can go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's going to be a theme for a long time, being told to turn down. But I also think like part of that is also just the dichotomy between like my amps being really loud and then my voice being like quite quiet. And so that
Mm-hmm.
is just like a physics thing where like in the real world, like your voice is never going to be on top of, like, it's never going to be louder than an amp because voices just aren't that loud. But when you're recording, you can defy physics. And then when you're like in a real space, you're kind of at the whim of how actual like acoustics work and how actual
Mm-hmm.
physics work. So it can like pose a problem trying to get your vocals to be loud when your amp is very loud. So, you know, it's also like an element of like letting your ego kind of subside and try to be on the same team as the sound person and just hope that they are like coming to you from the same place and they're not just being a fucking egotistical bastard.
Yeah.
So
It makes me wonder, I don't think I've ever asked anyone this, but like about what percentage would you say of people who tell you you're being too loud or your amp is too loud are like cishet dudes? Because it's a common story.
yeah, like all of them probably. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I don't know. Is
everyone's
that just who they
and
get to
okay,
do the boards? Like, I don't know.
here's something I will say. I feel like this is just incidental and it wasn't, and I think probably subconsciously, like everything I do is intentional. And I knew that this would be some sort of reaction. But I will say that like a huge influence on this album is System of a Down. And I feel like System of a Down and Korn and like Slipknot are all kind of in this genre that you would say are like kind of like security guard slash like sound guy genre, like that they are like stoked on. So I will say, like in touring this album already, like a little bit opening for Japanese Breakfast, I feel like there's as fucked up as it is, like less resistance to me being loud because I feel like we're like already coming into the venue with like Marshall half stacks and
Yeah, like it's not weird to them.
I don't know. It's still like kind of misogynist and fucked up because also like I'm touring with an all male band, which I've never done before. So there is that element also. But anyways, I'm a fucking warrior and I'll keep going out there and turning my amp up and
Yeah,
you
who
know
cares?
doing the job and hopefully
Yeah,
it'll just
exactly.
get easier and easier. But I do think it's like one of those things where like in some ways the bigger you get and the venues get bigger and you feel a little bit less resistance but you're also like more confident so you don't care as much. And then when you're smaller, like that's when you get the most resistance, you know? And it's like you kind of wish it would be the other way around. Like the smaller you
Yeah.
are, the more the venue is like uplifting and wants to be helpful. But you know, this is
That'd
how
be
it is.
super nice.
Yes, it would be great. But you know, I feel for sound people. I'm sure there's like really shitty, annoying bands that come through that are like a
Oh
fucking
God.
mess too. So
Yeah, I'm sure.
I try to have empathy for that too.
Like it is probably true that they just as often as they get people like you or I'm sure Japanese Breakfast who know exactly what they want, I'm sure they get people who are like, no, turn it up, and they're like, are you sure? Because
Right.
that's not going to
Exactly.
sound okay, it's not going to sound good, but all right. Like I'm sure
Yeah.
that does happen, but
Yeah.
God, you're right. I mean, it is
So
your name on the marquee. Why not listen to you? I don't know. It's not like it's your first show either, like whatever. I
totally.
don't know.
I try to really like make the sound person feel like they're part of the band and part of the team, you know.
Hmm.
So I think that helps too. Treating people like
Right.
they're people, you know, is good
Yeah, it's kind
too.
of like actors treating the tech crew like
Yeah,
they're important to the show because they are.
absolutely.
Yeah. So then after you toured that record for quite a bit and started thinking about this one, was there a pressure? Like, did you feel any pressure to conform to a thing or to constrain yourself, or were you just totally fuck it?
I think I was just like so I think that like the industry is like really confusing and gaslighty and like really run by these large tech companies at this point, and like
Hmm.
large labels, and just like unknowable omnipresent forces out in the ether, that it's like at a certain point you just have to be like, I cannot create art trying to like please or satisfy anyone else, because it's just like completely unknowable of what will be successful and not. And so I kind of just resigned to just making exactly what my heart wanted to make, which is like this bizarre new metal album mixed with like Sheryl Crow pop
Yeah, I was gonna
songs
say
and
there
like
is a. I was
Bach
actually gonna say
interludes.
there's a bit of Sheryl Crow to it, and
Yeah, I
the
don't
way
know.
I've
I
been
just,
thinking about it, because I've had it. I think I've only had it since yesterday, but I've listened to it a couple times, and the way I've been thinking about it, I wrote this down, is it feels to me like if a PJ Harvey record from the '90s made love with a Deerhoof record, and their kid hung out with Mitski and Mira,
for
because it's
sure.
just so many things. It's
It
like
is.
it's loud metallic noise, almost glitchy at times, and then next song it's like a indie folk pop song. Like it is sort
Yeah,
of this like you said, like twist and turny kind of journey. So
yeah, definitely. I just think that at the end of the day, every song is like, they're like your children, and like no matter what you want them to be, they turn out exactly how they want to, and like you just
mm,
have to kind of resign to that. And I think some people, everyone creates art for a different purpose, and I would never judge anyone for why or how they make their art, but for me it was just kind of like following the pen's lead, and letting the story write itself and just support it, really.
so you've mentioned your live band a couple of times. Were they in studio with you, or who played on this record with you?
They're on Sorry Entertainer, which I recorded first before I recorded most of the songs on the album. I recorded maybe like half of them at Ty Siegel's studio, and he plays on some of the songs. Um, Dirk, the drummer of Megadeth, drums on some of the songs. Kyle Thomas, whose project is called King Tough, I recorded the other half of the album at his studio, and he plays bass on some of the songs.
Is
My
the half
friends,
split between the two kind of styles here?
it's kind of mixed. It's more
Okay,
just I started the album at Ty's and then finished it at Kyle's.
gotcha.
Yeah, Kyle and I kind of have a studio together, so um, I started. Yeah, more definitely started the heavier songs at Ty's studio, like Skinner Rat and The Greatest and Needed to Work and Squeeze. Those are the ones that the instrumentals were kind of started at Ty's and then
Hmm.
finished at Kyle's, and then some of the mellower ones like Tried to Understand and Call Me Home and Not a Love Song. Those were just fully recorded at Kyle's, and even like Jay Bellerose, who's like a super iconic drummer who, you know, played with like he plays with Amy Mann and
Mm.
like he's played with like Willie Nelson, and uh just like is just a legend. And he plays on Not a Love Song along with Anna Butters, who's like an amazing bassist. Yeah, just kind of all over the board, because there's such different sounds. It required like a huge cast of different types of musicians to play on it, including
Yeah.
like some of my friends from Eastman, the music school I went to,
Hmm.
some string players, and my friend Leticia, her project is Vagabond. She does some like, she and my friend Patty Harrison, who's a an actor and comedian, they're like screaming with me on Skinner Rat.
Oh wow, I
Um,
never would have known that. That's pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah, I wanted to like kind of include some of my friends' energy. My friend Becky, who has a project called Lavender Diamond,
Oh yeah.
Mitski, they're singing on some of the songs. So yeah, there's a lot of collaborators.
And it's funny
Meg from
because
the
like
Hand Habits plays some
all those,
guitar.
yeah, hand habits too, all those people you just mentioned, or at least a lot of them, Ty, Lavender Diamond, even a lot of them are sort of like a DIY, do like
Yeah,
really doing their own thing kind of people. Ty especially is kind of known for that now, like
yeah,
lo-fi, doesn't give a fuck, I'm gonna make whatever I want to make kind of records.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes sense. It's kind of serendipitous in a way.
Hmm. Definitely. I definitely attract people like that into my life. Like I'm, I'm from and live in LA, but I'm definitely like not very amused or interested in like the weird Hollywood scene. It's kind of
Hmm.
not my thing. I kind of I like the freaks and weirdos for sure.
So why was Squeeze the title track? Why did that one stand out to you?
Squeeze is, to me, it's like a Rorschach test. It's like the word squeeze carries all this different emotional baggage. Like it could be like a hug, like an endearing squeeze, or it can be this like desperate, like squeezing the last drop out, or like violently squeezing and choking. Like it's a word that has all these different directions it can go in based on like what emotion you want to like project onto it. And so I feel like it kind of has this flexibility and fluidity that the rest of the album kind of has.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm always curious about title tracks because there's almost always a reason or an explanation or a story behind it that we won't necessarily get as just listening to it. So I'm always curious to ask about
It's very
title
choose your own
tracks.
adventure, the whole thing.
It kind of feels that way because like really one song to the next, it sounds totally different sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like, in an era where people don't necessarily listen to albums all the way through, I think that the songs kind of exist as their own little vignettes on their own too. So I'm not like super worried on it, slash, I just don't expect it. So I think it can kind of go either way, in terms of people kind of connecting with individual songs or like going really hard and listening to the whole album. I think the album is like a journey worth locking into, but I'm
Mm.
not offended either way.
So you mentioned that Meg Duffy played on or contributed to this record. I did want to ask about you producing the new
Yeah,
Hand Habits record, Funhouse.
yeah,
Um, you're not a stranger to production, but am I right in saying this is the first full-length album you've produced, especially by someone
yes,
who's not you?
yeah. Hmm.
So what led you to that job? If that was like, how is that your first album production job? How'd you get that gig?
I mean, Meg and I have been friends for a long time, and we have
Hmm.
played on each other's songs in the past, and we had like a trial run. I produced the song Fourth of July, which we did kind of like earlier in the pandemic, and I think they just, they had talked to other producers and had plans to work with other people on the album, but our experience working together on Fourth of July was just like so natural, and I think that when I'm in the studio, I have like a very not aggressive, but very uh very forward way of working. Like I just, because of the way that I create, like I have an idea and I like need to see the idea all the way to fruition before I can
Mm.
like edit or like step back. And so I think maybe to some people that would be intimidating, but Meg was like really stoked to work with someone that has like a lot of vision and is and works really hard, frankly. And so I think that it was just kind of a uh, if the shoe fits kind of scenario. Like we just
Hmm.
experimented and it really worked, and they were ready to make an album where they were really pushed into a lot of different directions that they might not normally go into. And yeah, so it was just uh, a really natural thing that
So what
you know
so what was the most exciting and or challenging part of doing that? Because you were new to it, so I imagine there was a little bit of trepidation, maybe.
honestly, it's funny because I am new to producing someone else's album, but at the same
Hmm.
time, it's just like, to me, music is just like a language that I feel extremely fluent in, and it's like
Mm.
it's kind of like one of those things where like I don't know, I just know how to do it. I can't. I didn't need to have done it a lot
Yeah.
before. I just like know exactly. I mean, I'm like 31 years old. I was like 30, I guess, when we made the album. Like, I've been making music for a long time. It's not that complicated. Like, people have been making albums for a long time, and pretty much nothing is new. And
Right.
so I was really just like, just channeling something up in the sky, and Meg was allowing me to like really push them towards, you know, what I envisioned the end goal would be, and like by some miracle. And I think by just like having all this energy from quarantine, we were able to like just fucking tear through it in like a month. And yeah, it just feels like kind of a puzzle piece kind of thing. Like Meg and I have really different, we bring really different elements to the table, and so like us working together, it's like very efficient and
Hmm.
easy.
So you've known each other for a long time. Would you be open to producing other people's records in the future, like continuing this?
Yeah, and I think that, I would have been happy and excited to work on albums before, but I just truly have never even been home as long as I had been during the pandemic, because I'm
That's true.
constantly touring. So that
Yeah.
was like part of the reason why it worked out too. Because Meg and I had talked about me producing a track or something at some point, but when this scenario opened up where we were both going to be in the same city for so long, it kind of destiny kind of pushed us together. And so yeah, I think if the right project presented itself, and the timeline allowed, I would love to continue. I think that in a lot of ways I like producing a lot more than being a front person, and I'll probably do it as long as I can. Keep going.
Yeah. And that kind of leads me actually surprisingly naturally into my next question, which was about the fact that you used to play with Cherry Glazer. And then after you left Cherry Glazer, you were doing your solo gig. And I was wondering if you ever kind of miss not being, the one in charge of the whole show. Like, do you ever miss kind of being more part of a unit versus being the one on the marquee, being the solo person?
Yeah, I to be honest, like musically, I think it really works for me to be a solo artist, because I'm so like ruthlessly determined with my ideas, and it actually like really benefits me to not have a committee to consult with on like
Mm-hmm.
musical ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But with pretty much everything else, in terms of like, owning a small business, and being the like identity that is focused on for my project and everything, I definitely miss like being a part of a team, and like having comrades in that side of it, and musically too. I mean, Cherry Glazer was like really collaborative and fun, and it's fun to have like it makes you feel so much more invincible when you have like a team of people that
Mm-hmm.
you're like traveling around with, and all that. So I definitely miss that a lot, um for sure.
Was it scary to go solo at the time?
No, it was just destiny. It was just like
Yeah.
it was just it was just time. It
Are,
you
are you someone who always tries
I
to do
was
new
so like
things?
old by the time I started touring. Like I wasn't in my teens or anything. I was like in my later 20s. So like I had already gone to college and shit like that. So like I feel like every move that I've made is like already coming from a place of like having made a lot of mistakes, and learned a lot of
Hmm.
lessons. So I'm kind of just like in a very focused work phase of my life now.
Yeah. And when was this new record finished? How long has this record been finished for?
Um, Good question. I think that it was finished. Shit, I don't know. I feel like they needed like 7 months or something. So maybe like
Okay.
in the summer or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
So how
But
has it
between
been
like,
kind
because
of
I also produced King Tough. I don't know if that's the project name it's going to go under, but like Kyle Thomas, who is my studio partner, and like we also worked on Meg's record together, and Kyle worked on my record. I also produced his record. And so between like Meg's record, my record, and Kyle's record, it's just been like nonstop,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
you've been
pretty much
busy.
straight into tour. So like I feel like normally you feel like you're just like sitting on your hands after you finish an album, but for me it's been like just so nonstop, which is really like for me great, because I have kind of Energizer bunny energy. So
Mm,
so yeah, I feel like it's like coming out so soon. And I don't really have a feeling like, oh, I'm sitting on it for so long. I was like really lucky to be able to start touring it already and play a lot of songs live. So it feels
How have
very
they
much
transitioned?
alive.
How have they transitioned to the live setting? Has it been an easy transition, or has it been interesting to
Yeah.
kind of find new angles into the songs?
I mean, I feel like I think I had mentioned that System of a Down was like a big influence on this
Hmm.
album for me. But one thing that I love about them is like they're just like a four-piece band live, and they don't use tracks or anything. It's just like one guitar, one bass, drums, and vocals. And so like I tried for a lot of the songs to structure the songs arrangement wise in a way that is like pretty concise and easy to perform as a four-piece band. And so it's been really fun to play them live. And I'm playing with an extremely capable and talented metal band, so they fucking shred, and it's really fun.
Yeah, and I'm sure it feels different than your shows on the first record felt.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways it feels the same because I was performing with the same energy. It just feels
Yeah.
like the like shoe fits a little bit better now,
Mm,
but I'm still marching the same way.
yeah. And do you think that this sort of restlessness will carry over into the third record whenever that happens?
I mean, I'm already like working on the third record, and it's
So
just
yes.
completely different. It's completely like sonically it's completely different, but
Ooh.
energy wise it's definitely just still going. It's still very like theatrical and yeah, and
So
I'm
you are
really
someone who are you someone who has trouble stopping?
I don't have trouble stopping, but I just am really lucky to be really inspired, and that's like kind
Mm,
of one of the things about living in a city. Like as much as I'm really attracted to being in nature as much as possible. Like when you're in the city and you're able to like go to a movie or like go to a show or go to a museum or something, you're basically like constantly inspired because
yeah.
art is like always sparking other people's art to be made. And so being in a city and being surrounded by so much creative energy kind of like is always keeping my fuse lit for
Mm.
creativity. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and that actually leads us to our last question. I was curious about that a little bit because I've been doing this show for about a year and a half, and it was started because of the pandemic. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll finally do it. Um, and one thing that I've noticed in talking to a lot of artists is that this time since the pandemic started, especially in the past couple of years since it started, there's been a lot more sort of space to consume that art and to consume, music and movies and art and media in general. Has that been true for you, or have you just been so busy with work?
Oh yeah. I mean, my intent of making this album, like I said, was way less like a diary and way more like a movie or like a play or something.
Mm,
And so that for me involved a lot of research and a lot of kind of deep diving in other people's art and trying to find grains of inspiration from other types of art, like TV shows and movies and books and visual art
hmm.
and history books and just uh all sorts of different resources of inspiration and definitely like having so much more time to read and so much more time um to like read books on like my family's culture and like I don't um I don't know. I'm an actual like serious avid music listener. Like I'm the kind of person that literally listens to music like hours a day. Like I have a lot of
Hmm.
friends who are musicians that like don't listen to music because it's just too much. And I
Hmm.
will say like I don't really listen to especially contemporary music when I'm working on an album because I'm like humans are so sponge like that it's pretty hard to like um not like echo or copy things. So I'm like very, very aware of like not listening to things that are too contemporary while I'm making music just out of like sheer fear for accidentally copying things. But and I just don't like how a lot of it sounds, frankly. But like production wise, I'm not like
Yeah.
super into it. But I'm also a fucking bitch that has like slap bass on her record. So I can't really complain. I can't really be like that pretentious.
So then
But
what would be like an
yeah.
older record that you maybe discovered since the pandemic that you really liked
I
or have spent a
mean,
lot of time with?
like so much metal stuff like Meshuggah and System of a Down
Mm.
and like what was I listening to a lot? Um like Godflesh and like some kind of more industrial metal stuff. I mean, even like whatchamacallit, the German band uh Ramstein, like all
Oh.
of it. I definitely got more into like uh kind of industrial and metal stuff.
Mm.
But honestly, like I listen to so much Joni Mitchell and Fleetwood Mac just like constantly. That's kind of what I listen to even when I'm working on metal stuff. I'm not always like even listening for inspiration. It's just
Right.
very soothing to me to listen to music all day.
Well, also they're just inspiring people. Like you don't have to make a Laurel Canyon album to be inspired by Joni Mitchell, right? She's,
Yeah,
you know, she's Joni Mitchell. She can pop up
definitely.
anywhere.
And she is definitely a musician who makes music like she's speaking or breathing. You know,
Mm.
like the way that she um happens upon melodies to me feels really, really like someone that's just like dancing freely and in a very unchoreographed way. Um, but has been like training their whole life to dance or something, and then
Right.
just lets
Right.
lets go when they're in the moment. And I feel like she writes melodies in that way, and that is really, and I don't know if she actually does, but that's just what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
Um, the like freedom in which she navigates pitch and melody is like really cool and inspiring, and I like that. It took me a long time to like get into Joni Mitchell actually,
Mm.
but now I'm into it for sure. I'm tapped in.
She has so much material too, and so much is so underrated too.
Definitely.
There's so much to explore.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you very much, Sasami, for talking to me
Yeah,
today.
my pleasure. Thanks so
Yeah,
much.
I had a good time chatting. The record is called Squeeze. It is out February 25th on Domino. Thank you very much, and I hope you're a few hours behind me, so I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. My night is starting now, so
Thank you. Stay warm.
yeah, you too.
Thank you. All right, have
All
a good
right,
one.
have a good day. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.